Okay, I think we are live. Let's see if everyone can hear us. I see Cyborg is here.
Okay, now we're. Okay. I started receiving the signal now.
Yeah, you're right. Everything is good. Can you hear us, guys? Cyborg, Doug 2099. Yeah, Korob. So you can hear us, right? We can start. We can begin. We are live. Salam alaikum, brothers. Okay. Oh, Vim is also here. So many people. Okay, guys. Let's see if I can pronounce it correctly. Leonardo Laguna Ruiz.
Yes, exactly.
How was my Spanish today, Leonardo?
It was actually very good.
I have the...
Yeah, I'm just preparing my own GIF.
Oh, yeah.
Because I haven't opened it yet. So, cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, that's a nice sound.
Oh, yes. Very nice. It's the first time I'm in color. Usually it's I'm in black and white. Cheers, everyone. I hope you can hear us.
Oh, this beer is so delicious. I'm a really big fan of the sour beers.
Yeah.
And this one is really nice.
You know, actually, it's funny about the
my cool T-shirt.
Oh, let's see. I cannot see.
Let me move the microphone.
Oh, yeah. Leonardo, show your T-shirt. Yeah.
No, because it usually starts like that. Show your T-shirt, then remove your T-shirt.
Yeah.
So I stay at that point.
That's enough. Huh? So about the Spanish video I made today, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a sort of an April Fool's video. And I spoke Spanish. Actually, a few people unsubscribed from my channel after this video.
It's good.
They got scared. Yeah, they got scared or something. I don't know. They said, "Oh, he's not speaking English anymore. That's it. I'm out." But it was funny. It was.
You only want the people that wants to be challenged, right?
Yeah.
So the one that don't subscribe is like, okay, no, bye.
Okay, this is really nice. So Leonardo Laguna Ruiz, the developer, the man behind the Vult modules, not only for VCV Rack, only for voltage, also for voltage modular, also hardware. Already 2 modules, right, Leonardo? Freak and Vogue, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have right now working prototypes of 2 of them, but I'm designing more because usually, like, getting the hardware done is much slower. Okay. So I need to have like a pipeline of things while I'm waiting for a part for one. I'm designing the next one.
No. Very nice. So modules also, like I said, let's have a look shortly. Let's see, I have it here ready. Here it is, I think. Yeah. Okay, so here it is on modular grid, which is really cool. Vogue from Vult, modern MS-20 filter. We have also here on the website, we can see, you are selling also DIY kits.
Yes.
Of Vogue. Very nice. And as I said, also for voltage modular. So there are 2 bundles. There is the Volt Fury
and the Fury and the Rage.
Yeah, very cool. So very nice. How excited are you? Let me just stop this. About VCV 1.0. Do you have everything ready, by the way? I mean, all the models?
Almost ready. I think that there are a few things that I want to do, but I haven't finished yet. For example, one of the problems, or one of the problems that I want to solve is a nicer way of integrating the skins.
Yeah.
And that also other people can integrate the skin without needing to make it like a lot of work for them. So if you just want to change the panel or the knobs, being like letting customization. So that's one thing that I want. I don't know if I'm gonna get it on time because I have lots of things on the pipeline, but I want to do that.
But there is a new design, right, to the modules, at least in VCV Rack. In Voltage Modular, I already have seen the new design, the new skins, but also they are coming also to VCV Rack.
In the case of Voltage Modular, I'm actually using their components, which is their knobs and buttons.
Right. Yeah.
But the panels are my own. And the new the new VCV Rack skins are gonna look a little bit more like that because they're gonna look more realistic.
Okay. Okay, very nice. So there is already a question here. How come Leonardo got into hardware?
Oh yeah.
So you told me before. I told you about the capsule in the Guinness can.
Yes.
And you told me that you have to take everything apart and to have a look what's going on inside. So how did you get into this?
I'm that kind of person since I was a kid.
Also, as a kid, you used to take everything apart.
Yeah, always taking the things apart, and then sometimes I couldn't assemble them back, and I was getting my dad crazy until. So I've been since quite young. Maybe I was like 7 or 8 years. I mean, it wasn't in the 90s, and I started getting into doing electronics.
This was still in Mexico, right?
Yes, this was when I was living in Mexico in the 90s. When it was like 10, 12, I don't remember exactly. I started doing electronics, like simple projects and trying to learn. But one cool thing is that I got into, back then, I got into doing some advanced electronics because I got a teacher from the university that accepted to teach me electronics. So at that point, I started learning about semiconductors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and over the years, I've been always doing electronics. So electronics has been my main thing, and I studied as well electronics. So my master, and also my PhD was in electronics. So I have been always into hardware, and that was actually my initial goal. All these Vult things that I was developing, I wanted to do some hardware.
Hardware, you mean modules, right? You mean hardware modules?
Yes, I mean not necessarily for selling them, but just to have them for me.
Yeah.
And
the journey of building the modules and.
Yeah, I just wanted to build things for myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took a small detour with the software because I work as a software engineer.
Yeah.
And at some point, I just wanted to do hardware because it's a lot of fun.
And how did you get into VCV Rack and modular in general? So you studied electronics and you were taking stuff apart as a kid.
Yes.
But how did you get into music or sound or?
At
Eurorack,
the same time, one of the things that caught my eye always it was guitar pedals. So when I was at high school, I was playing with my brothers and with friends. We were playing in bands and doing stuff like that. And I was playing with guitar, and I had guitar pedals. And since then, I was like trying to build like my own. But it's funny that I was living in a small town in Mexico, and one of the problems that we have there is that there was not a good electronics store there where I could get components. So I could get a few, and then what I had to do, it was just like build stuff with whatever I had at hand.
Yeah.
So I got like distortions and some simple circuits, but at that point I was never like convinced that it was good. But now that I look back, those circuits that I was making, they were like very interesting because I was not following, I was not copying anything. It was like
you had this innocence that you didn't really know. You was just starting out. What I find really amazing. So two things I find really interesting. First of all, I got a patch and tweak book, and there are some really interesting interviews with module manufacturers. And a lot of them started also from guitar pedals. So they were interested in guitar pedals, and they started there, tweaking them, building them from scratch. And it looks like a lot of Eurorack or modular modules manufacturers start really in the guitar pedal territory.
Yes, I guess that many of us had the same trajectory, in the sense that I was playing guitar, so I was like getting into pedals, but it happens that so I was into heavy in rock, and then I started listening more like metal industrial bands.
Yeah.
For example, Nine Inch Nails. It's been super important for me because I listened to one of their songs. I think it was from the Fragile album, and it was all the sounds that I was listening were so cool. And then it was when Nine Inch Nails started turning me into electronic sounds.
Actually, when you think about it, the guitar pedals, I mean, you take a pedal, you take another one, you put a patch cable between them. I mean, it's really similar also to modular. I mean, it's really,
yes.
Yeah, and you can connect something before the other. You can put compression before or after, or effects. It's really similar when you think about it. It's really a modular thinking, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that the only part that is missing with the guitar pedals is that you don't have the CV control. So everything you need to do it by hands.
Yeah. Do we have echo on the sound?
I don't know. Do we?
I cannot hear any echo, no. Anyway, the other thing I found really interesting.
We can add echo if someone wants it.
Yeah, let's add a pedal. There are enough options. So another thing I found really interesting is when when you have restrictions, like you said, in the 90s in Mexico, you didn't have where to get the parts, and those restrictions, I think, they are something that makes you really creative, really to think out of the box. Okay, what can I do now? And creativity, really, it's like mushrooms after the rain.
Yeah,
it's like that's amazing, and this is something that a lot of people have problem with in VCV Rack, I think. It's not a problem, but it's a difficulty, or it's something they have to overcome, this overwhelming number of modules. I mean, it's endless.
Yeah,
I mean, there are more than, how many now? 1,500 already, something like this.
We have decision stress.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm guilty as well, because when you say, I'm going to insert a filter, and I have made 14 filters, not even I can decide what I want. It's just...
Yeah. Did you start something new now, a new filter, if you can speak about it, of course? I mean, you had a post a few weeks ago.
Yes, so I started making a new hardware filter. But remembering that, I mean, what we were talking about, restrictions and doing the things with what you have at hand.
Yeah.
So I started building this filter just with the components that I have, like following. I started like with a ladder architecture.
Yeah.
And then I kept just like what else I have, and I had like analog switches and stuff like that. So I have something that is quite interesting. I don't know. I'm still like thinking if it has a place, this new filter, because what I have talked as well in my blog post, we need like some kind of attachment to a filter in order to use it. Otherwise, we try to stick with what we know, and being this like a crazy different filter, I don't know if it's gonna be good or not, but I mean, hopefully it becomes just a Vult filter, and that's it.
Yeah, it's amazing how different they are from one another. I mean, like you said, there are 14. You said something like this can be
around 14.
Yeah,
I think so.
And it's amazing that each one sounds different than the other one. I mean, how come? How can this be? I mean, a filter, of course, okay, you have the number of poles, the dB, the dB slope,
Yes. So the main thing is that those characteristics apply when you have a linear filter. For example, if you think of a ladder filter, you have 4 stages of filters, and if you make those 4 stages very linear, the resulting mathematical transfer function that you get is very similar to any other filter of 4 stages. There can be, of course, like small changes, but it's gonna sound basically the same, like 24 dBs, a certain amount of resonance, and that's it. But when you start considering what happens to the electronic components at every stage, all those effects tend to accumulate, and each part adds distortion. And when you add the feedback, I mean the whole thing becomes like a filter itself that has some personality.
Yeah, it has its own life.
Yes. For example, like the state variable filter and also the polybox filter, if we do like a very simplified mathematical model, they are pretty much the same. But when you listen to them, they sound completely different. At least the models that I have made, they are completely different things.
Yeah.
And even considering the new Borg filter that I released, which was like more simplified, that one is basically the same structure, but I modeled the components in a different way, and it sounds different as well.
Yeah, totally. It's amazing. They each have their own character, their own life. It's amazing. It's you play the filter rather than the oscillator. Yeah. So again, I'm going back to the how did you get after electronics and after guitar pedals? How did you find VCV Rack? I mean, where did VCV Rack hit you? I mean, it hit a lot of people here in the chat also.
Yeah.
Where did it hit you?
So I think that I got to know it when I was since I read Syntopia.
Yeah.
I saw that it was announced, and at that point I was trying to do as well many things. For example, my compiler for the Vult language. So that compiler I started because I wanted like a simple way of writing my code.
Yeah.
And I wanted to build like a bigger platform out of those things. For example, I wanted as well like kind of an audio engine, and I had the idea of making just an interface that looked just like Eurorack, but web based. So I had all these like planned stuff. And I was making small examples with the language to like trying to do progress in everything. And then I read the Syntopia blog post, and I said like, this is exactly what I want to do. Well, it's nice that someone else is doing it. Now I just can plug my stuff there.
Someone beat you to it, huh?
Yeah, but in the good sense, because Andrew
you can
was
now join in the
taking,
party.
Yeah, Andrew was making the difficult part, and I could do the fun part.
Yeah, it was also to me. I think I found it through Facebook. I saw a post or something, and I went into and I looked at it like this. Like 5 minutes, I was in shock. You know that something like this exists. It's not just that it's existing, but it's also open source. It's also free. I was amazed. Really, it was amazing. The first thing I did was so back then in 2006, I think it was. I studied. It was not like a university or something, but I studied synthesis and electronic music production.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I did was writing my teacher back then, because he was also into it. And I sent him the link and said, okay, listen, I'm not into music anymore, but my nephew, I will not hear from him for months now. He knew already, okay, that's it, is a goner. Leonardo, I found some strange behavior in Tremor 2 module. Sometimes this module used lots of power processor. That's strange. Is anyone found that problem too?
I mean, it can be. First question is: are you using the official VCV Rack? Because I found that I was getting reports about that. Like suddenly it was like using almost all your CPU, but I couldn't reproduce it. I had some ideas. It can be these things, and I even wrote some modules to send crappy information to my module to kill it, and I couldn't manage to kill it. So it turned out that it only happens in this fork of the Arcomian parallel, like multi-threaded VCV rack.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I know that it happens in that one, but I haven't taken time to debug what's different there or why it's happening. So since I only test the official.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the VCV 1.0 should be multi-threaded, or? I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's gonna be.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Veli is also with us. He says, Oli Larkin introduced me to Rack and it blew my mind. Yeah, VCV Rack is crazy. Then he showed me to the API and I just had to dive in.
Yes, the API was quite easy, because I remember when it was released. It was released in the week, in like, I don't remember the exact date, but that weekend I sat in the morning and I said, like, I'm gonna make a module, and 3 hours after I was playing with it.
What was the first one?
Rescomb.
Rescomb. Oh man, I love the second one. That's crazy. That's a pure sound design tool. I mean, really, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance so much to play with the first one, but since the second one came out, also in Voltage Modular, you saw I enjoy this module.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. It's pure sound design, really. It's amazing. Let's see. Question for Leo. Incubus seems to combine West Coast wave shaping oscillator with East Coast filter ADSR. Was that inspiration for it, or am I projecting my fantasies? That's cyber.
I mean, this classification of the West Coast and East Coast, for me, I don't know. Since I'm very late to the synthesis, it doesn't make any sense for me. It's just like synthesizers.
Yeah. To me also, I also never felt connected to the East Coast, West Coast, separating them. Yeah.
So and if I have to set a coast for my stuff, I mean, since I have always wanted to play piano, but I cannot play piano or synthesizer or anything. I can only play guitar. Yeah. So I never had a simple device, something with a keyboard. Then I guess that I'm West Coast.
Yeah.
But exactly, no, I mean the thing
that's also
with Incubus,
a main difference between the two. That East Coast is with a keyboard, meant for performance, and the West Coast is more free running sounds, let's say.
Yeah. So in the case of Incubus, I just wanted to create. I started actually doing a lot of optimization and creating like small versions or simplified versions of the oscillators that still sounded good.
Yeah.
And then in having the small oscillators, and then I just put the filters, and I think that the filters do most of the heavy load with Incubus.
Yeah, there are all the filters there. I mean, it's amazing. The thing I like the most about Incubus is the reverb. It has so much character. It has those overtones, that you are.
Yes.
It's those harmonics, that even when the sound stops, you can still hear the next ones. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So the thing I want to develop more the reverb. I don't know if it's a real reverb, because I mean it's based on some principles. I will consider it like a broken reverb.
Yeah.
And I want to keep developing it, but I haven't reached that point yet.
It's
to make it
yeah, it will be beautiful.
But definitely I will not market it as a reverb, because I don't intend to recreate the space, like rooms or physical space. It's just some crazy experiments.
Yeah, reverberation. So it's Crazy. What else do we have here? East is most about subtractive. Okay. We need to watch I Dream of Wires. Did you watch it? Did you watch
I have watched it. I have the hardcore edition.
The Blu-ray one?
The extended, I don't remember how many hours is it.
Yeah, the hardcore one, yeah.
But I have watched it like many times. I actually like it because I like to listen to it. Sometimes I think maybe I should watch a movie or something. No, I'm just gonna put I Dream of Wires and I'm gonna work while I listen to the stuff that they're saying.
Yeah. I still need to watch this one. I have the link. There was something, a website where you can sign up and you get and you can watch it for free. I think it was Boiler Room or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't get the chance. Let's see. I did a patch with a paid Trumor and saved the preset. Then I wanted to load the preset in the free Trumor vision, but it didn't work. What's the difference? The question is, what's the difference between the free and the paid version of Trumor? Is there a difference between the...
No, they are exactly the same. The main difference is that the patch, like if you open a patch file, you can see the text and it's going to say like Vult modules free. And in order to change the patch, you just need to change the name from Vult modules to Vult modules free, and that should load it without problems.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same.
Yeah, it was Boiler Room. Okay, so let's continue with music, Leonardo.
Yes.
After VCV Rack, did you continue with producing music, or you just focused on modules? Do you still play the guitar, by the way?
No, I haven't been playing the guitar.
Which guitar? Time. The classic one?
No, electric.
Electric
I
guitar.
have actually, between me and my brothers and my dad, we had like 12 guitars.
Wow.
And with me, I have three guitars.
Which ones?
Like I have a 7-string that I have modified.
Did you modified it?
Yeah, I changed the pickups and I added like switches to put them in serial, parallel, and all the combination that I could. So it was very cool that I did that modification. I start playing. And it's like, yeah, it's cool. So the next project.
Yeah.
I have a Dean guitar, the Evo Noir, which is a beautiful guitar. I actually don't play that much because I'm afraid that it's gonna get bad.
Yeah, you keep it safe, huh?
Yes, and I have this guitar that we see it's a very cheap guitar that a friend of mine got me from a German store. It's a Strat.
Ah, yeah.
And he told me that it cost like 40 euros. And my idea, it was like, with that guitar, once I present my PhD dissertation, I'm going to take that guitar and I'm going to smash it like the end of a concert. So that was my plan. I have it in mind. So I got like this cheap guitar, 40 euros to smash it that day. But then I start playing with it and it's like, even when it's super cheap, it's quite nice.
Yeah.
and I got in love with that guitar, and that's the one that I use the most.
Yeah, the best. Also for me, the best guitar I had. I didn't have so many like you, but the best guitar I had was a cheap classical guitar I got for nothing really, and I put a hole also inside because I wanted to put a mic in so I can record it.
Mm-hmm.
And it fell down once on a bed, and it got this. It sounded amazing. It was the best guitar I ever had.
Yeah.
It had so character to it. I don't have it anymore, fortunately. But yeah, it had character. I don't know. And I also put nice strings on it. It was amazing. I have also another classical guitar I bought here in Germany, and I have an electric guitar that my friend built. Not for me, he built it for him. He just gave it to me as a present. From an oak. It's heavy. Mm-hmm. It's like
yes,
it's really heavy.
But I have tried. Like a friend of mine had a nice classic guitar, and then I took it and I played the E note, mm-hmm. and it was so nice, so deep that I spent like half an hour just playing that string. Dong, It sounded so good. Half an hour, one string, like smashing the string and playing it soft.
Plucking it and such.
Yes, and trying to.
Sometimes, it's amazing. Sometimes sound is an influence. Let's have a look. Leonardo, what genres were you playing? So when you played guitar, what kind of music?
I like rock, so I remember we were playing back then in the 2000s. I like a lot Rammstein, Nine Inch Nails, Rob Zombie, Deftones.
Hardcore.
Yeah, I was playing. That was my favorite stuff. Lots of the bands from that time, mainly American bands.
Yeah.
But a little bit later, I discovered Porcupine Tree.
Oh.
And man, it's an excellent band. It's so bad that it's so sad that this doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I discovered it too late, but it's a really good band.
There's a CD of their concert in Rome, I think. One of the best live performances I've heard. Amazing, yeah.
And it was funny that I discovered Porcupine Tree because I went to a metal festival when I was living in Spain.
Yeah.
And it was so hot that I was just like looking for a spot to hide in the shadows. So I found a place like far away from the stage, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna rest until the next band that I like plays. And then I started like listening in the background, and it just caught my attention, all the sounds of Porcupine Tree, and I immediately said, stand up, went to the stage, and it was like love at first listen with Porcupine Tree.
It's I have to say, but they had an album quite late. It was, I don't know, the lyrics were weird about I don't know, it was children's stories or something like this, but the music was always good.
Yeah,
always polyrhythmic, crazy stuff. Yeah, it was amazing. And also the early stuff with all the synths and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good.
Did you know? I think that the early stuff, like how is it called? The Atom? No, I forgot it. But the early stuff, I think Steven Wilson, he did it all alone. And then for the live shows, he did it all alone. All the parts, everything he did alone. It's crazy.
Yeah, that guy is incredible.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
And of course, since I have my T-shirt, Tool is another of my favorite bands.
Let's see.
And I'm still waiting for that album.
Yeah, soon, probably. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yes.
Nylon strings are amazing. It's like an acoustic low-pass filter. Yeah, it's true. Never listened to Porcupine Tree. Amazing progressive stuff. Steven Wilson. Lennon Delirium. Shout out for new music you got to hear. It's an Harley Benton, I guess, Leonardo. Xavier is asking if it's a Harley Benton.
I actually don't know. It has something written there, but I don't know.
Okay, very nice. So, what's next, Leonardo? I mean, we've all seen the last post with the new module series, the new series of modules that you are.
Oh yeah, that's right. My
soon
new
releasing
Vult Mysteries.
The Vult Mystery. That sounds.
The Vult Mysteries.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, the new module, the first module, also the sort of a random trigger gate.
Yes, so that thing it's something that has been in my life for a long time. The Queen Cooks. So I don't know if it's like this machine that I mean it has lots of nails, and you drop a coin.
Yeah, and
like at every step, you have 50% probability of going on one direction or the other. Then you go to other part, and you have the same probability. So it's kind of like a Bernoulli gate if you put it in 50, but you chain many of them.
Yeah, there are like 7, right, or 14.
Yes,
is it double?
7 stages.
7 stages, yeah.
7 stages and 7 points, and one of the So when I had that idea at the beginning, I actually was talking with Jeremy from JW Modules,
Yeah.
and I told him like, there is this thing. It will be really cool having it and have it animated. And I told him to do it because he could do like really cool graphics out of it. I'm a little bit more lazy with the graphics. That I say like I just keep it like that. But the first time I tried, it was not that interesting because it tends to form like what is like a normal distribution in probability. So
okay.
the parts in the center have more probability of being triggered, and the parts in the extremes have less probability.
Yeah.
So then I started thinking how this can be more interesting. And the other day, I had this idea of combining it with this algorithm that I've used some time ago with multi-objective optimization, which is the taboo search. So the basic idea is that when you apply to this machine is when one of the balls drops in one of the slots, immediately goes into the taboo memory. So the next one, it cannot go there. It needs to go some other place.
Yeah. Okay.
So it affects the probabilities in
so that's the taboo function actually. Okay, now I understand.
Yes. So in the taboo control, what it does, it determines how many stages previous, like before of the previous events, how many of those cannot be occupied by the new one. So it kind of forces to use the others that had not been used.
Yeah.
So the first, as the first ones fall into the middle, we're forcing the next ones to fall into the sides.
It's like it's full already, and then it has to go somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah. So, and one interesting thing is that when I put the taboo to the maximum, which will be like six steps back, it enters into a sequence because the next can only fall into the empty space
because there's just one option each time. So yes. it repeats itself actually.
It repeats. So
wow, nice.
I found like some nice melodies, which I mean I just let it run randomly and then increase the taboo.
Yeah. So it's like locking the Turing machine, you know. You open.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
that's what I like it because it's not a Turing machine, but the way that you interact with it is very similar.
Yeah. So you can lock a sequence, or you can let it. Very nice. Very cool. Yeah.
The main disadvantage, and I'm trying to, before releasing it, I'm trying to do something else with it, is that the sequences are very short because there are only 7 slots.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about how to extend it and how to provide something else to make like longer sequences.
Yeah. Well, in the VCV 1.0, there will be a sort of, as I understood it, so modules can interact with one another just from standing next to each other. So
yes, that's one of the things that I was thinking about on doing, and I'm still considering it because the functionality that I want to put on the site, I'm trying to make it interesting for like to connect any other thing without having to be next to it.
Okay. Yeah.
So like more possibilities of transforming signals.
Yeah. Nice. And what more will come in this series? Can you tell us more?
Yeah, I have like other idea that I have. It's one module that I have the name. I have the main idea. Yeah. I don't know how it's gonna work. It's a module called Bitter.
Bitter.
And what I want to do, since this is gonna be mainly for control signals, the main idea is that I'm gonna provide a knob that is gonna shuffle all the possible ways of reorganizing the bits of a signal.
Yeah.
That way you input a control signal and you can get like a completely different signal just by shuffling the bits and getting like crazy as many possibilities of
so more
shuffling.
more for modulation or more for
I have no idea how it will be called. So I'm just gonna like take the bits of this signal and shuffling them into the possible combinations.
Okay, cool. Sounds exciting. we are ready for this. But all of this will come in the next version of Rack, right? You will wait for 1.0.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna wait for 1.0 because if I put the effort of making it for 0.6, it may happen that 1.0 it's around the corner, and then I have to port everything.
Yeah, it should be every day now, I think. I mean, according to Andrew, I don't know. It was more than a month ago, I think, that he announced that it will take around a month for it to be out. I hope it will come soon. We are all on the edge, you know. we cannot wait anymore.
Is anyone from Belgium in the chat?
From
because
Belgium?
This video is quite good. This is my favorite. If you can see it, I mean this style, the sour beers.
Ah, yeah.
It's really nice.
Did you finish it already?
No, I still have it.
Because I did. So I'm going to get another one more. Just a second.
Okay. Okay, so this is Leonardo's show. I'm taking over, and yeah, you can ask whatever you want. I don't see any questions. What are the questions?
Okay, I'm here. Sorry. I hope this will not ruin everything here. Just a second. Oh. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. As I said before, Guinness is the best. I'm sorry.
Okay, now I'm seeing some questions. Corey asked, when you think the hardware freak will be there? Okay, so the thing with the freak, I have ported 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 filters to run in the ARM processor, but I still have left. Which was the last? It was Nurage. It made it to the filter, so I'm gonna port still. I don't even remember which filter I'm gonna port next, but I have. So I still have to port some of the filters. One of the challenge there is that this is a small processor that has less power, so I have to be like more clever in factorizing the computations that need to be done, and also simplifying some of the parts because it's not powerful enough as a computer. And also since Vult is Freak is stereo, it needs to run 2 filters, and I'm also trying to get a high sample rate. I want to run it at 96 kilohertz of sample rate.
Ooh.
To get like space in the frequency.
Yeah.
And that has been a little bit complicated. And I also need to write the menus and stuff like that to make it even more flexible than the VCV Rack module.
But there is already one freak working, right? A hardware freak.
Yes, it is. When I have components to build a few. I have built almost 2, and one is the one that I carry with me almost everywhere to run the programs and do the tests. So the hardware part is finished. I just need to complete the firmware, and since I tend to be very picky with the things, it's taking me quite some time.
Are there a lot of stereo filters in Eurorack?
I have no idea.
I'm not so sure there are, because stereo is not so common in.
No. So one of the things that I want to do with this one is making the possibility of turning it into dual filter or stereo filter, so you can run with one channel one filter, and with the other channel other filter.
Like 2 separate filters, totally separate for 2 different voices.
And also I want to that it may take me a bit, but I want to make every knob possible to configure. So instead of saying like this is the amount of modulation to the cutoff, that you can just change it and say I want it to be
Oh, okay.
To modulate
something
the cutoff and the resonance at the same time.
Something like the matrix in the VCV modules.
Yeah,
you can just choose what will control what.
Yes, I want it to be something like that, and yeah, it's so I need to rewrite part of that code.
And what else did you have in mind to develop as a hardware module? Someone said here about Caudal.
Yes, I am developing Caudal.
Oh, also as hardware already.
Yeah, it's like
nice.
It's gonna be Caudal 2.
Yeah.
It's gonna have not all the 12 outputs, but only 8. So the main X and Y outputs, and I'm gonna try not to add only Caudal, because once I have the module, I can add different modes. So maybe you don't want it just to produce those signals, but you want a different, completely different chaos generation. So that's going to be possible. I'm trying to do that in these hardware modules that are going to be digital, to pack a lot of functionality. So that's another that I have in mind.
How do you feel? How do you feel about it to have also digital modules? I mean, Vogue is pure analog, right?
Yes, it's pure analog.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bit in that discussion between digital and analog. I know very well. So I don't know many different filters and hardware, because I have never played like some of the vintage stuff. But I see it from the mathematical point of view. And from the mathematical point of view, the both things can overlap. So digital can be as good. I mean, a good digital model can be as good as an analog hardware.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of making a good mathematical model, and we can do it.
Yeah. Okay, Volt merch with mushrooms growing out of it. Let's see, I saw another question here somewhere. Does it make a big difference to code for 0.6 and 1.0?
Yes and no. For example, one thing that I do is that all the DSP code, all the actual code that does the heavy lifting, is written in the Vult language, and that one is completely independent from the VCV Rack version. The difference, the things that change is how you write the code to add a knob.
Yeah.
So it's just there are minimal changes. In principle, they are the same, but you don't write it the same way.
Okay.
So porting it from one version to another is just a matter of spending time changing to the new way of creating the things. But since I have my DSP code separate, that which is the most complicated, I don't have to do anything to
You don't have to change. Let's speak a bit more about the Vult language. Where did it came from? I mean, it's you invented a coding language, or it's coming from somewhere, or
it has inspiration from many other languages. I'm always proud to say that I'm a very lazy person, and because I've seen that some people does amazing things and spend so much time doing a complex task. And someone that comes to my mind right now, it's Dale from Valley.
Yeah,
that
he's here with us, I think, still.
Yes, that he coded Dexter directly using the complicated hardware extensions of the processor, and that's something to admire.
Yeah.
But I'm completely the opposite. I'm super lazy. I don't like to code. So what I end up, what happened is that I was writing code, let's say, for a VST plugin that I was playing with, and then I wanted the same code to run on a microcontroller, and then I wanted to use it in another place. And since the language are not exactly compatible, I had to do like manual translation of the things. And part of my work, of my real work, is to develop a compiler. And this compiler is for translating a modeling language into something that executes. So I started like working a lot in compiler, developing compilers. So I had this idea. I need like a super simple language, something small that doesn't allow me to do many things, but at the same time, it doesn't let me shoot myself in the foot. And it's very easy to port.
Yeah.
And I started writing this compiler with the help of one of my colleagues, and we were like discussing ideas how these things will be working. And I actually took a lot from the programming language that I used to write it, which is called OCaml. It's a very unpopular language, but it's very good. And many of the ideas came from there. And one thing that I think that I have never said where the Vult name comes from.
Come on, let's hear it.
it's a
wait a minute. Let's play a game. I want write in the comments in the chat.
Yes.
If you can guess where does Vult comes from. Can you guess? Where does Vult come from? There's a prize also.
Yeah.
Tell it. Corey says, tell it already.
Okay. So I was one day at work and I say like to my colleagues, I'm developing like this language and I have these ideas and I want to do it this way. And everyone was like, so, and one of my colleagues asked me, how are you going to call your language? And it's like, I don't know. He told me, maybe you should call it chicken. And I was like, chicken? Come on, man. Chicken is it's not
so sexy, you know.
Yeah, it needs to be like an evil. If it's gonna be a bird, it needs to be like an evil bird, like a vulture or something like that. Yeah,
Oh,
I should call it Vult.
Nice. So it comes from Vulture.
Yes.
So someone said it here. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
here,
it comes from
Red
Vulture,
coffee maker.
But I like at the same time that as you mentioned once in one of your videos, it's almost like Volt.
Yeah, it's a Moog or Moog, you know, it's Vult or Volt. You don't. It's like the same game.
Yeah, so I like it because it was like Volt as well.
Yeah, it has another meaning. Yeah, blessed by Vultan. Wow, this is cool. So it's coming from vultures. We all thought, I think, that at least I did. I think it's coming from, who wrote it here? Something in French. It was something with du vol or something like this.
There was from Latin.
From Latin. It was not French.
I mean, all those references, I started seeing them once I have defined the name of the language. And as you may know, I'm actually always making parodies of the things. So like trying to Vultify everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. So it's coming from vultures. Now we can sleep well at night.
Yeah, from vultures, from Vult.
Yeah.
From lots of places.
Okay, let's see. I have a few more questions. Leonardo, do you plan to release? Do you plan to release the very nice new black and white look from David on the next update? Because the Vult God took my soul when I put some color on the Vult modules.
Yes,
that's Xavier.
You're gonna be safe. This
really? There will be white panels?
No, it's
let's say light panels.
It's black panels with the white text.
Oh, okay.
And the main reason why I don't have the white panels is because again, I'm kind of lazy on doing those kind of things. Take a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I've been. I mean, I like the fact I want to make them look nice, but it's just so time consuming and all the time that I will spend maintaining the styles. I could spend like trying some other ideas. So it was nice that, for example, in the previous version, Xavier, which is in the chat, I see, helped me like giving the final touches to it, and now David helped me with this style that looks more like the hardware modules.
Yeah. There was a release also a few, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago. Someone who made many different types of panels for your modules.
Yes,
But I
was
think
really
it's
nice.
outdated, already.
No, it still works with the version. So actually, that was the main reason why I hold the release of the new style for version 1, because I wanted to have compatibility. Like these panels work with the version 0.6.
Yeah.
And so when I release the new style, since we have moved the things a bit, these panels are not going to be compatible anymore. They're going to look bad. But that was one of the things that I wanted to do. Like simplifying the design of the panels. If someone wants to add a white panel, allowing doing most of the labels in code. That way, it's everything is in the same place with the labels and
everything
all
fits.
the and just changing the pure panel.
Yeah.
And also maybe allowing to write like a small script or configuration file in which you can just set your colors.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Let's see. Would it be possible to have caudal syncing to clocks?
No. I mean, caudal it's a chaotic model.
It will be the opposite of its.
You cannot control it. I mean, the only way that you can sync it with clocks will be to use the sample and hold and sample the signals.
Yeah.
But in principle, it's kind of chaotic. So as you may see, that sometimes it goes faster, sometimes it goes slower. So it does whatever caudal wants.
Yeah.
I just put it there and it has life by itself.
How did you come to this module? Because it's quite interesting. I mean, you have the how is it called? This
the pendulum.
The pendulum, yeah, exactly.
So the thing is that in my real job, since we do simulations, we have lots of examples, and we have as one of the examples where we show the modeling of a complex mechanical system. It's just like putting two tubes as 2-segment pendulum, and you just let it run, and it's chaotic, and it's gonna generate all those signals. So I think that it was Antonio from NIST that he posted a video, but it was a completely different thing. But he had some lines like drawing signals, and I asked him like, "Oh, this is really cool. Is it like a pendulum system?" And he said, "No, it is not." So it's like, "Oh, I should make a pendulum system." So I started in my simulator to connecting the pieces and doing the simulations just to learn more about the model, doing the testing, and doing the same process that I do. Then just deriving a simplified mathematical system and try to optimize it to the maximum, and made it like that. Yeah, but it turned out to be like a very interesting chaotic system, and it's definitely out of the chaotic systems that I have seen is the most interesting because it's the most unpredictable.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Could you just make a generic hardware module that could then be loaded with different Vult software modules? Well, I think we talked about it before, that's what you want to do with caudal also, that you can load all sorts of different modes, let's say.
Yes. So yeah, I want to make possible to load different things in caudal that use the same buttons, but I'm also doing like a series of modules, like smaller modules that are gonna be like cheaper.
Okay.
So my idea is like using like a small processor and be very clever with the firmware that I write. That way I can use it to the maximum and being in providing like simple functions. So if someone has used something like the, how is it called, ornament and crime. So that module you can load different functionality there. So I wanted to do something like that, and I actually have it already, but it's not is hand soldered. I have it in my page or somewhere. I have a like small module, and yeah, that's the idea. And one of the things that I want to add, I mean, the first functionality that I want to have is the new module, the Queen Cooks.
How does it work for you? You have VCV Rack, you have voltage modular, and you have your hardware, and you have your day job. How do you
Yes.
make everything work somehow? I mean, if there is something you change in one, you have to change in the other one also, and then you have the hardware on top of it.
I mean, it's part of the language itself. The Vult compiler simplifies the things for me because I just write everything into that, and I know that I can generate it, for example, for voltage modular, which they use Java.
Yeah.
So I added support for Java in the Vult compiler. For VCV Rack is C++, with floating point operation, so I can use like a powerful processor. But in the compiler, I also did a special mode, which is using fixed point computation, which can be run in very simple microcontrollers. And that way, like this code that I write for filters, I mean, just matter of adding a flag more,
yeah,
and I get it, and I get the generated code for the microcontroller, and it just works.
Okay.
So that simplifies a lot. But I still have to do quite a lot of manual things to port. For example, from VCV Rack to voltage modular. So I need to remake the GUI, and connecting everything with the GUI, and also testing, which is the most complicated part.
Yeah. What are the differences for a developer like you? What are the differences between VCV Rack and voltage modular?
From the developers,
from the developer side, yeah.
From the developer side, since as I mentioned before, I write most of the code in the Vult language. I just generate Java or C++. The main difference is just the language in which you have to define the GUI. On the voltage modular side, you have their module editor, which that makes it somehow easier to put a knob and just put it and move it wherever you want.
It's more visual.
Yeah, it's more visual, but at the same time, that has advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah.
Because when I'm making a module in voltage modular, the graphic interface, I can easily put the knobs where I want, and it's gonna work. I move it with the mouse. But sometimes I want to make like changes, automated changes. For example, I want to displace everything 1 pixel to the side, and if it will be purely code, I can make a quick script that adds that moves everything, that changes everything in the I don't know how many modules I have there, 12 or 16.
I think now 17. Yeah, I think you added
17.
Slap. You added Slap a few days ago, right?
Yes, Slap and also Spank. So there are a lot of modules as well.
Yeah.
And if I want to do like something automated with the voltage modular GUI, I cannot do it. I have to do module by module. On the other side, since in VCV Rack I made everything with code, I can just make a small program that does the work for me.
Yeah.
So it's those two advantages and disadvantages. One is good in one thing, the other is good in the opposite. But for example, now that Rafael is releasing Gecko, that's gonna make as well easier or at least for me, I want to try to develop the GUI.
Rafael is horror, right? Yeah.
Yes. To develop like the GUI of a module, which is going to be easier as well. Just put in the knob wherever I want, and just plug in my DSP code.
Yeah.
And
what about the surroundings? I mean, VCV Rack, it's more than just programming or developing the module. There's also the community. There is also the feedback that you are getting. How this is in voltage modular? How is the interaction behind the scenes?
I actually don't have too much feedback from voltage modular. Just a few comments on the community. I know that is used, but this is not. in that community there is not much contact like in the VCV Rack community, where I'm just receiving messages from people and I answer back. With the voltage modular, I guess that it goes more in the traditional approach, in which maybe if you buy like software and you use it, you never think about like, oh, I'm gonna grade this guy to see what he's doing. Because it's already like a company face.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I've been trying to make it to be myself the face of the Vult company, and make myself as approachable as possible, because I mean that's something that I would like to have for the things that I buy or that I use.
Yeah, I think it's a part of the magic of having face-to-face. Let's say it's not really face-to-face, but to have a contact with a developer, speaking with him and picking up ideas together.
Yeah,
that's something that's difficult with big companies like Cherry Audio, for example. But still, I have to say, I played around. I played around with the Vult modules in Voltage Modular, and they sound amazing. Also there, they work amazing. Let's see. I guess you think through before really doing anything. No, this is something else. Let's see. Obsolete.
Check what else I can see.
Let's see if there's another question here. Any way to add pendulum segment weights in caudal?
I mean, they have weight. They weight 1 kilogram, in fact, because it's not the simplest thing to do. But changing the weight, I tried, and it's not very interesting, because if you change the weight, the only effect that you get back is that you see it go faster. So since I have a speed control,
there is the speed control, exactly.
Yeah, there is a speed control. So when I was testing, like, okay, I'm gonna allow to change the friction. I'm gonna allow changing the length, changing the weight. So it's a chaotic system. So when I was changing the weight, it's like, I mean, it's chaotic. something is happening for sure, but I don't see what's happening. Maybe it's a little bit faster, a little bit slower. So after testing all those things, I'm just gonna add a speed control. I think that is the most intuitive. I'm gonna cut all the other features, which if I leave them, they're just gonna be knobs that disturb me. Functionality that doesn't really have like a good place, and that is something that I try to do with all my modules. When I'm designing something, I could add, for example, to Incubus, I could easily double the number of controls. But when I do it, I try to do it as minimal as possible, as to make it like, and also to combine functions in the controls to make it more effective, and easier to use. So when someone suggests something to add, I think it a lot, and I keep thinking it until I convince myself, yes, I have to do it. I need to have it. But I try to do everything as minimal as possible.
Again, we are going back to the restrictions. I mean, as less as you have, I think the bigger the creativity is. I don't know. It's there is something magical in having less options. You grow from it more. I don't know how to explain this, but
I think I say that the philosophy of less is more.
Yeah, exactly. Less is more. Yeah. Let's see the Starling modules. Did you have a look at the Starling modules?
Starling.
Yeah, there's now 4 modules, I think, that are already real hardware, and the developers or the manufacturers, they made a VCV version of those modules so people can try before they buy. It's the first time I see something like this.
Yes. No, I haven't tried them.
And they're really interesting. I had a look. I had a play with the gate trigger, gate sequencer, whatever they call it. It was pretty nice. Yeah. There are 4 modules all in all.
That's a one thing that I wanted to do as well. So it's like this balance that I have to grasp between the what I do commercial and what I do for free. So on the one hand, I want people to test the things that I do, and the more people test it, the better, because I get more feedback, and it's more it's nice to have my work used by other persons. But as I mentioned many times before, it actually takes a lot of time. So like having a motivation, compensation, and also to justify all the time that I spend doing this, I have to create the commercial modules.
Also to move forward somehow. I mean, it also helps you to move forward and develop more and make more. Yeah.
I mean, the money that I have been getting from the software sales is actually the money that I'm using to develop the hardware.
Yeah.
Because it's quite kind of expensive. If I for example, the Caudal 2 that I was developing, the prototype, which I wrote a post and it didn't work. That cost me like $400 or something to make the prototype.
This is a lot of money. Huh?
Yeah, and it's money that I could be spending on getting other hardware. But no, I'm actually using it to develop the prototypes, and it's just expensive.
Yeah.
So that didn't work, and I will have to so I found the problems with it, and now I'm gonna make another one. It's not gonna be more expensive, right? Because the second is slightly cheaper, but still expensive. And that's the money that I'm using to develop stuff. Otherwise, if I have to put it from my own pocket, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, for sure. Do you make research before you say, okay, I want now Caudal to develop as hardware? Do you look if something like this exists already, or if something like this, people will use something like this, they will want something like this?
All my research will be. I see that it's a model that is popular in VCV Rack, so maybe it's worth making it. If there is something similar, I don't really I don't really put much attention to it, because I want to to not be polarized by the ideas of the existing things.
Yeah.
And in the case of Caudal, I have no idea. I guess that there are some chaos generators, right?
Yeah.
But I want to do it, and let's see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I mean, everything has been done in modular. I believe it's just like a repackaging of things.
But somehow there are always new modules coming out. I mean, it's amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So if I say like this has already been done, I'm not gonna do it, then I'm not gonna do anything. So what I try to do is my own version of the things in what I consider that is good.
Yeah. Would you say that you have, let's call it passion, you have more passion for the hardware side or for the software side? Where do you find yourself more passionate about?
Personally, I like better the hardware, even when I don't have too much hardware. So I like the process of designing the things, because for me it's a lot of fun. Like, I'm gonna build a circuit and wire it, solder, and then manufacturing the board and making it work. I like that design part, because it's one thing that I have been doing for a long time. But it's also very frustrating, because when making the software for prototyping the idea, I have an idea now. Then I sit, I set up the basic module for 15 minutes. In 13 minutes, I have something that works, and I tested the idea. So then I spend like more hours polishing it and refining it. But I can do it, let's say, a simple module like the Quincus, like the new one. I have spent so far maybe 8 hours on it.
Yeah.
and I only spend a lot, a few more days, following weekend, I don't know. So in total, let's say 36 hours that I spent into doing that. But doing the hardware, it's 36 hours. I cannot do a lot of progress, right?
Yeah, the time from an idea to execute is much shorter in software, and hence also less money, and hence also less time.
Yeah. So getting the next generation of voice.
Is there something?
Is because of the beer.
Yeah, there is something with the voice.
Yeah, let me get the microphone closer.
You have sample and hold on your microphone or something? Sample rate reduction. What's going on?
Not that I know. I would have to take it apart and find out.
I thought it's just me from the Guinness, but no.
Let me. I can try to switch the microphone.
Yeah, maybe try this. Yeah.
Let's try. Does it sound better?
Yes, totally.
Okay.
I think it's back.
That microphone.
Yeah. Oh, it's the other microphone now.
Yes, is this microphone, which is the bad one.
Okay. Yeah. So let's see the Starling. We were in the Starling. Are you going to visit Superbooth? Are you going to Superbooth, Leonardo? Will you have time?
No, I actually cannot go.
Oh, that's a shame. I would. Yeah. Okay.
Have lots. Yeah. I have a lot of work to do, like real job, because I have a real job.
Yeah.
8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I also have lots of family issues to attend, and of course I cannot leave the VCV Rack. So if someone goes to Superbooth, you can talk to everyone about Vult.
Yeah, we will. I will be the whole time. I'm arriving at Thursday, and I will be there till Sunday.
When is it? The Superbooth?
It's on the 9th of May, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, for 3 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, maybe what I have to do is, to the people that says I'm going to Superbooth, I need to send you a Vult T-shirt.
Yeah, totally.
To make promotion.
I will wear it the whole day long.
Yeah.
I will make commercial for you.
And you can also make the bank sitting. I give you some modules with Modular, and you just put it in a corner and be by yourself there. Leave it there, and someone is gonna play with them.
Yeah, so if you come to Superbooth, let's meet. Let's make a meeting. Something. I will actually be also this week. There is Musikmesse in Frankfurt. I will be there also on Wednesday if you are there. It's not really a synth event, but it's also interesting. There are many guitars and whatnot. I was there last year. I think I saw one synthesizer, maybe. No, there was the Korg people there. They had the MS-20. They had the ARP, which was really cool to play with. The Volcas, of course. Mm-hmm. There was so many cool guitars and ukuleles and electronic double basses and whatnot. It was amazing. It was really fun. And I also got a chance to play electric drums from Roland, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So originally I'm a drummer. I started as a drummer. Oh. Yeah, I learned a few years to play the drums.
That's strange, because in your music, there are very few drums.
That's a good point. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. I think it's because I'm used to playing my own drums.
Yeah,
it's really hard for me. The lack of dynamics, the lack of expression when I use
like synthesized sounds.
I think it's less the sound; it's more the feel. I think the sound is it's different, of course, but I think it's more of the feel that. It's first of all, if I want to program something, it's tedious, you go step by step and velocity, and you start. And I hate when I used to work in a DAW. I hated this. It was one of the things. You go note by note and you start playing with velocity. I couldn't make it anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So you need really an electric drum kit and.
That would be amazing, yeah. I told this to my wife already. Be aware that maybe one day you will wake up and there will be a set of electric drums in the room.
Yeah, but it's true. I play drums, but I don't play them very well. But my brother has like an electric drum kit, and every time I go there, the same. I just spend like playing rhythms, whatever it is, and and you immediately get inspiration by by playing.
It's different.
thing.
You have the experience of you are holding the sticks. It's a different experience. I cannot. It's different. It's. I mean, of course, you have a kick drum, 4 on the floor, or hi-hat, from caudal or something like this, or noise. I mean, it's fun, but drums as drums.
Yes.
I mean, percussive sounds okay, but drums as drums, it's hard for me to do something like this. I don't know. And it's also, like you said, you can hear it in my music also, that it's almost not non-existing, It's
yeah.
It's in my mind, but
the biggest problem with the drums is that they are not very popular with the neighbors.
Yeah, that's also why I stopped actually, because it was too noisy. Yeah, it was just too much noise. It was hard to concentrate on playing and rehearsing and practicing. But still, it's fun. I'm still. I say it always. I'm still a drummer. Never mind what I do it with the rhythm. I cut vegetables. There's a rhythm to it. I walk in the street. I walk in everything. Never mind what.
But that's true. It's like some time ago, I have had hearing problems because of flu or too many planes, and it's so odd that I cannot hear the things, because we are used to, or at least me, I'm used to everything that you do needs to have a sound.
Yeah.
Like if I move my hand, it needs to have a sound. Everything needs to have a sound. And when you don't have the sounds, it's like living in a super strange world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. That's not a nice experience, I'm sure. But now everything is back to normal, right?
Yeah, I can hear very well. Well.
No, you cannot hear very well since then.
No, I mean I can hear well enough.
Okay.
I have I can hear differences in my ears. Like one picks better the highs and the other picks better the bass.
Okay.
So it's when I'm testing the filter, it's like, okay, this side is like with the bass, and this side is much better with the highs.
Okay, this is the low pass, this is the high pass.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't know that you still have it. I thought it was the flu or something and it went away.
No, I actually had it a few times, and I get a lot of effect because of the planes.
Oh yeah,
because after every plane, it takes me a week or so to recover.
That's harsh. Yeah, that's harsh on the body. That's true. Okay, so this was Super Booth. Let's see. Omri, do you have any modules? Any module making in plans? No, I have no idea about this stuff. I'm really bad at building stuff and developing and coding and programming. That's totally not my thing. I don't have anything. What I do have is what I wish to have in VCV Rack, at least, is some sort of a sampler. I've been saying it a lot to some developers. I think also to you, Leonardo.
Yeah, but one thing that I have found is that I'm terrible at samples. I mean, when I was making music, it's like I was talking once with I don't remember who I was talking to actually, but I'm really bad at using samples, and I had that sensation that when I use a sample, it does too much for me.
Yeah.
And then I started doing everything synthesized, and that's what I have stick with, because I don't know how to use samples.
Yeah, so now I started building my rack in modular grid. I have 2 modules, and one of them is Morphogene for Make Noise, which I think will make my life really. It will make me happy. This module. It's a really crazy sampler, and what I found actually by mistake, I think also from the VCV group, I think it's called Ultomaton or something like this. It's a standalone sampler. It's not a module, and it's not. I think it's also in Max or something like this. Anyway, you can record something to it, and then you have a few different samplers. So samplers in the sampler. One of them is, or two of them are regular samplers that you can sample a short period of what you've recorded. Then you can reverse it also. Then you have granular samples inside. Then you have a few effects also, and you have also it's called a micro sampler, that it's just sampling really a micro sample of the sample, and everything is layered together, and it's amazing. I used it in the last video I made on yesterday. I published it, I think. It's called Space Modulator. You know where it's coming from, this name?
No.
Space Modulator. There's a Bugs Bunny episode.
Oh.
Where with this, it's called Martin the Martian or something like this.
Oh yes, that's right.
And he's inventing. He finally invented the space modulator, the Q113 something space modulator, and he's happy. And never mind. That's where it's coming from. Anyway, there I used the whole inspiration, the whole idea for this track came from this Ultomaton sampler. So I've recorded the Ocus, the make nose, it's there somewhere.
Yeah.
I've recorded it to the sampler, and then I added layers and everything. And this I recorded like 7 or 8 minutes of this, me playing it live also. And then to this I've added VCV Rack and other stuff like Neutron and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And this is, I wish there was something like this in VCV Rack. I think it's amazing. You know, there were a few videos I made also with the flute, and really I had a hard time playing the flute live and integrating it also with VCV Rack. It was not really what I wanted. I wanted something that I can record a short loop and then modulate and process it and stuff like this.
Yeah, I think that's other of course with the samples. I actually have a Digitact. And I got it in like from the first batch.
Yeah.
So when I had it in front of me, it's like, oh, cool. It has like really nice 808 samples. So I was using them. I like it, programming different rhythms. But then it's like, okay, now what should I sample? Okay, I can sample like this thing, put 2 or 3 sounds. I recorded some exterior sounds and stuff like that. But that sampling approach is something that I'm not used to. I would like to have more control on the things.
Yeah.
When I sample something, if I can change the pitch a little bit, the harmonics, maybe granularity, but I feel that I don't have the control that I want to have over it.
Yeah, so you should totally check out the Ultomaton video. I will put a link somewhere later on the video. You will see the video and you will say, wow, I was like this, like, oh, this is what I want.
Yeah, and the biggest problem is that with a sampler, if you don't have a good sample, and you are kind of constrained, or at least that's my experience.
The thing is, it's funny because you know how I started with YouTube? Before VCV Rack, I started a few months before I started with the VCV Rack. I was sampling some toys for my son. So he had like a keyboard. I was sampled like a flute, I think, from him also, like a recorder, like a children's recorder.
Yes.
And I used a sampler which is similar to Contact, but it was not Contact. It's a free sampler that I forgot now its name. And I used to make really long pads out of it and all sorts of weird percussive sounds and stuff like this. It was really fun. So this is how I started YouTube with sampling. And now recently, a few days ago, I got a Zoom recorder, the H6.
Yes.
And I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. I'm going to go out and sample everything what I see and put it back in VCV Rack.
Yeah, definitely sampling is something that I need to try more often. I have two Zoom recorders that I have used for everything except music.
Yeah.
So I have to use them.
It's fun. It's amazing how you take one sound and you transfer it to something totally different, and it's hard. You can still feel the original sound in this what you've created, but it's totally different. I mean, if you give it to someone else to listen to, you will never find out what it was. It's an interesting experience.
My other problem with the samplers, for example, like Contact and all those, even when I have like many of the native instruments, since I'm always using like a small, very limited computer, because it's easy to travel with it. Installing those will consume my space, so they just use so much space. I never install them.
So what do you use? Here is another question for you. Are you creating music in now when you are?
No, but I mean, after I started creating the modules, that has consumed most of my time. I haven't been making any music, but before I was using mainly Reason, and I have an Analog 4, a Digitact. I have what else I have? The BeatStep. I don't even remember what I have. So that answers. I have a machine. I have a BeatStep Pro.
But you have also a few modules I've seen, right?
Yes, I have quite a lot of modules. I have, but I like some years ago, I definitely fall into this trap of thinking that when I buy this thing, I'm gonna make so much music.
This is what I need.
Yes, this is exactly what I need to make music. So I started buying things, and some of the things it's a shame, but I have them in a closet store. I haven't taken them out because they take space, and also the other trap that I fall is that I was thinking one day I'm gonna collect everything, and everything is gonna be connected in here in the room in my desk, and I'm gonna make so much music. So what happens is that I, just as in electronics, I cannot keep the things connected, because I one day I spent like 3-4 hours making a setup, everything into the mixer. Then and what if I connect this thing to this thing? It's over. So no, I found that I cannot. I really need to constrain myself to use just some things, and then like I was using Reason a lot, and I think that I did most of the music there with some of the iPad apps and stuff like that, but integrating everything into Reason. And then I constrained myself to a more limited setup, which was the Analog 4 and the Digitact. But after some point, it's actually when I started doing things for VCV Rack, and now I'm in another trap. It's like, I'm gonna make a module, and once I have that module, I'm gonna make so much music. I just need to make one more module.
It's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. It's never ending. It's never ending. I'm afraid of Superbooth, I have to say. Also, my wife is afraid of Superbooth.
On my side, I have simplified my life, and as I told you, like all this spare money that I have to invest in gear is what I'm using to make my prototype. So that's my current black
that's
hole.
Good. It keeps you focused.
Yeah.
That's good. Constraints are a gift. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. That was the voice. Oh, where am I? Let's see what's going on here. I will be at Superbooth on Thursday. Stefan says, Leonardo, send me a t-shirt. I will wear it all days.
Yeah, first I need to make some t-shirts. I actually don't have any t-shirt, because the ones that are on sale, I just uploaded the designs in this page spreadsheet.
Yeah. So they sell it for you, right? I mean,
they sell it for you, and I get like $1 or $2. I don't remember per.
Okay,
but I haven't
still,
gotten.
it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten.
Yeah, but you have a shirt for yourself?
No, I don't have.
No,
I don't have
oh,
one.
Man.
So that's what I was thinking with my wife. Is like I need to find a place in Europe where I can make at least one for me,
Yeah,
good quality, and maybe have a few more to sell if someone wants it. I mean, like maybe a better cost than what is on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, sure.
Because they are there, but they are for the people for everyone who wants to have the T-shirt, but I don't have one.
Yeah.
So
Did you all see the Volca? The Volca tape April Fools. Did you see this one from Korg?
Yeah, I actually
The Volca
saw
tape.
it, and I saw like, oh, that's really cool. Oh,
yeah, it's a shame. Huh? I mean, it can be amazing.
They are. I also saw another. Don't remember from which company it was, and it was like a dock for the computer that has like 40 USB ports and serial port, parallel port, and this is exactly what I. April Fools.
Yeah.
No,
it's amazing how cassettes are back in the last few.
Yes.
I think the last year at least. It's really. I mean, if you look at YouTube, they're everywhere.
Yeah. I also found like an old stereo, in just for fun. I started like recording stuff there and trying to characterize the distortion and do some analysis.
I saw the video lately from Alessandro Cortini from Reverb. You saw this video? Where he uses his four track tape.
I remember seeing one from Sonic State where he was explaining that he was like playing.
Yeah.
He had like a single note and playing with that in the cassette.
Yeah, he had four chords, one chord on each track, and he played it just live. You know, he took the things in and out, the chords in and out, and also had pitch control, so he could alter the pitch a bit.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, and it was so gritty. You know, it had such a nice character to it. But
yes.
Yeah. I also have this small tape recorder, and I tried to use it once, but and I did use it actually. It was nice, but it's so loud. It's so it makes so many weird noises.
Yeah.
That it's sometimes just too much. Let's see, Omri, have you ever tried playing live drums along with the modular? No, I don't have any more drums. I don't have a drum set anymore. Like I said before, there can be a day that there will be electronic drums somewhere here, if I have space.
So I hope I have all my drum modules by that time.
Yeah. What I do enjoy now, I really enjoy now playing with the BeatStep Pro. Because it has now, since the last update, it has now you can select different length for each track of the drums. I mean, you have 16 different drum tracks, and you can have for one drum, for the bass drum, for example, you can have 5 steps. For the snare, you can have 12 steps. And this is it's really interesting because then you can also, you take, let's say you have 5 triggers in one track. You can send this. I did it also. You send it to VCV Rack. And there you split it. So you have the 5 steps and you split it to 2 different voices. I saw also Stevio is also making this a lot, that he has one sequence, but he's splitting into 2 different voices. So you get really, so this is fun, but it's not necessarily drums. I mean, it's more percussive sounds and maybe chords or something like this, but it's not. But maybe one day, I don't know.
I don't think it will be too complicated to make something like that just detects your hits and creates MIDI signals out of it.
Yeah. No, I think the electronic drums, they are sending MIDI out. I mean, they are the good ones. They have an interface also that you have an output for each voice, audio, and you also have MIDI.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it has.
Yeah, the commercials, I guess that they do everything.
Yeah.
But it's not as much fun as making your own.
That's true.
But one day I'm gonna make a MIDI drum kit,
and then I will make so much music. Anyone know of drummers using VCV with their electric kits? I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. I never heard of something like this. Omri, drum jam coming soon, I wish. Leonardo, what's about Vogue?
Oh yeah, I'm working on that. I have.
What is Vogue?
You haven't seen?
No, I haven't seen Vogue.
Vogue?
Vogue.
Vogue?
Vogue or Vogue?
No, it's this filter that I talked at the beginning that I started to experiment. So I said I'm gonna have I'm gonna make a ladder filter, but I only have these components, and I made like the stages, and it actually sounds quite cool. But I'm trying to add more features to it.
So you're speaking hardware now?
Yes, in hardware.
Okay, yeah.
I can also make a model of it, but yeah, it may be a little bit more complicated because it's gonna be a quite heavy distorted filter. It sounds quite interesting. So I just need to balance a bit on, because if I spend time on finishing that, I have to cut out time from Freak.
Yeah.
And on one side, I think Freak is gonna be more interesting, a more interesting module, because it's just flexibility, right?
Yeah.
While Vogue is gonna be completely analog, and if I sell it, it's gonna be just as work that I have very few of them.
Yeah.
So if someone wants a work, I still have some, and I think that I'm not gonna produce more. And I think all the ones that I have manufactured, they have a serial number. So
who got the 001? Do you know?
No, there is actually, yeah, the 01 is mine.
Ah, yeah, course. Cool.
and what I did with the next, I just shuffled them, and every time that someone wanted one, I put it in a box, and so I didn't see who got which one.
Yeah, I saw Synticat. Synticat? How do you pronounce this? Synticat?
Yeah, I think so.
He's doing amazing things lately. And he also has two modules from you, I think, oh?
Yes, he has one of the other, the Steiner Parker that I made.
Yeah.
So I had it was like the first module that I designed just for testing. The panel is not as elaborated or as nice as the one in Borg, and I made that module quite some years ago. So I made one for myself, and I had PCBs, and I sent like the PCBs, one set of PCBs to him. I don't remember who else I sent the PCBs, but he actually assembled it, and it's working there.
He's doing amazing things with it lately. He's building also so many things. He's building now something, like a karimba or something like this. I don't know.
Yes,
he's really into.
It's quite cool.
Yeah, totally. He's doing really cool things. Let's see. Yeah, they're asking here about more drum modules. Are you planning to add more drum modules? I mean, Knock is amazing because it's not just a bass drum. I mean, you can do so many things with it, especially now with the extreme mode, which is pretty cool.
I mean, with the drum modules, my plan was to make a set of drums, but I didn't want it just to make like an emulation or a copy of an existing module. So that's why it has been taking me more time, because I want to make, for example, a clap, and Alejandro Galan, which is also in the community. He was helping me with the research, so he was like checking a lot of resources on synthesizing clap sounds, and he was sending me like hints, like, oh, if you do this, it's gonna work, and I developed a clap module, but still it's not completed. And also the snare drum and the hi-hat, because the problem is that I want it to be flexible and also sound different, like knock. Knock is a little bit 909, but if you know how to configure it, you can also get 808 sounds, or maybe you can get like a more acoustic as well.
But also many different sounds. I mean, not just bass drums. You can use it for a lot of things.
Yeah,
even melodic things, even melodic parts.
Yeah, I have a video that I wanted to do, and it can be used as oscillator. So I mean, I'm gonna make a video about this, but it can be like used like a phase distortion oscillator. If you just take like any oscillator and you put it in the gate.
Yeah.
So what happens is that the envelope gets reset, and you can actually play with it and make some really crazy waveforms with it.
Yeah, I remember when it was out. When it was out, I used to play. I mean, the bass drum was the obvious thing to do, but also to take it really up, the frequency really up, so you can make really melodic parts with it. It was really fun.
Yeah, so that's one. No, was the first, because it was the easiest for me to implement, because I already had a lot of information and lots of experiments with the kick drum.
Yeah.
And the other thing that has me a little bit conflicted is that with knock I wanted to make it like effective. So no matter where you put the controls, you are gonna get a good kick drum.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's also constraining. That's where I added the extreme mode, which can extend that range a bit and just get different, like more different sounds. And maybe that's what I'm gonna do in the other modules. I'm gonna have a mode that you're gonna get in all settings like a good sound.
Yeah. Yeah, this is also something you pay attention to, is the randomization function. So in the right-click menu in VCV Rack, you can randomize the controls, and you really pay attention that.
I tend to block some of the.
But in a lot of different modules that you have, when you randomize the module, like knock, for example, you will always, or 99% of the times, you will get something usable.
Yeah, that's because randomization is like one of my main tools when testing, especially when testing, because I say what happens if I just quickly change the parameters, will it get unstable or not? So I started like doing randomization, for example, with Tremor, and that's how I found like all kind of crazy sounds, which are very interesting. And in every module, I do randomization a lot to see what I get. For example, with Incubus, I like it a lot that you randomize and you get some super strange sci-fi sounds.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Extend. Leonardo, could you extend the maximum length of the extreme decay settings on knock? It's too short.
I could extend it, but as the module is more used, I will have problems with backwards compatibility. So yeah, if I change the setting, it may break the sounds for the people that has been using it. So I need, if I extend it, I need to find a way of detecting the things and not make it break. And I did that with Flame when I did the change from just like 3 modes to adding like a small screen. Like a few releases back, I started putting the changes and adding like a versioning in the patches. That way I could detect which version in the past you use, and then when you open an old patch, I know the version and I can make it sound exactly as it sounded before. But in the new one, you get the new stuff. The same with Noxious. When I remove the sub oscillator button, I can detect which version of Noxious you're using and still make the sound, the patch sound the same. And I try to make it like completely transparent. I don't want anyone to know that I'm doing it. And hopefully no one has noticed it.
What do you like to? What?
I could make that for knock. I just need to instrument the versioning system to get backward compatibility.
What do you like to develop more? Filters, because you have so many, or sound producing modules, so like oscillators, or I mean, also filters can produce sound, of course, but
yes, for me, they are like very different. I like the filters because with the filters you can get closer to the analog hardware.
Yeah.
In the case of the oscillators, for example, Blick is like is a perfect analog oscillator with no aliasing. So it produces the saw, the pulse, and the triangle.
Blick is actually a part of Noxious, right? It's the oscillator part of Noxious.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it produces this perfect analog waveforms, and that's it. You with the sound generators, with oscillators, you have a big problem with the aliasing.
Yeah.
And the aliasing is what doesn't allow you to do a model that is closer to the analog. When I have tried to model, for example, like the Buchla oscillator or some other things, I get something that is technically good, but I mean that is close to the hardware, but it's too complicated, and at the same time you have aliasing problems. So with all the oscillators, I'm always thinking, how can I avoid producing aliasing? And that's a complicated thing, especially when you want to create crazy waveforms, for example, in Noxious. So with Noxious, I got an idea on how to do it without introducing too much aliasing, and that's a bit the idea behind it. I want just to have something that produces crazy sounds, but at the same time, is not just like digital crap. It needs to be like low aliasing, so it doesn't hurt your ears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like better the things that I can easily map to hardware, to analog hardware.
Yeah.
But I still have lots of things, lots of ideas for oscillators. But some of them I have discarded them. Maybe I'm gonna take them later, because right now there is a lot of overlapping already in VCV Rack. So we have lots of things, and if I make just one new thing, I'm trying to balance. I'm trying to make something interesting that is gonna be used, because sometimes I make models and not even I use them.
Yeah.
So and it's just kind of waste of time. And also, I contribute to the decision stress. What should I use? No, 1,000 modules.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one for a lot of people. That's true. Can't you use something like WMD anti-aliasing filter? Aliasing filter.
What was WMD?
Corey, can you explain yourself? Will from WMD did this from WMD the hardware, okay? Did this filter exactly for that purpose?
I mean, there are filters for doing anti-aliasing, and the main problem is that they use CPU. So there are like different ways of fighting aliasing. You can use the naive approach, which is, let's say that I want to generate a pulse. You generate a signal that goes high and low, from -1 to 1 or -10 to 10, and then that's the naive approach. And then you put a super aggressive filter that tries to clean your signal. So it can work, but you're just moving the problem to further right. You're making a very simple oscillator, and you have to use like a large filter. It can be like a very high order filter, and that's gonna work. But and you can do exactly the opposite, which is what Blick does. Blick uses like these band limited impulse responses, and I managed to make it quite fast. So it generates like perfect non-aliased oscillators, and if you see it in the spectrum analyzer, you can see that how they just disappear. Every harmonic when it reaches disappears.
Yeah.
So and that is like less computational expensive than using an aggressive filter. And of course, you can do something in between, right? Something that is quasi band limited. So it produces aliasing, but not that much, and maybe you can add a little bit of filtering.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I was mentioning. Oscillators tend to be not I mean, interesting, the idea behind it, but they are kind of predictable in that sense.
You know already that you will have problems you have to solve.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, like one of the things in VSEC, why that's I have been asked many times, why don't I add an input for FM, for external FM? The thing is that if I add that input for external FM, the aliasing that you will introduce by inserting any signal is gonna be, you're gonna get aliasing, right? But the way I did it internally, it tends to generate less aliasing. So if you need FM in VSEC, it's better to use the integrated FM that could use an internal oscillator, because I could control it. But for any other signal, it's not going to be that controlled.
Okay.
Let's see, what else?
If you used your old modules, you could make more music. Question for Leonardo. Do you have a suggestion for a good beginner's oscillator filter distortion module project? I've created a few rack modules, but they are all sequencers, control, no DSP. From Adam Malone.
In the suggestion, if you want to make a filter, the simplest thing will be making a port of a digital state variable filter. There are already discrete versions of it, and it's going to be linear. It sounds okay, but that's going to put you one step further on how filters work. For oscillator, the best thing that you can do, or your first try, will be to making something like using the mean blip method, which is also for generating band limited signals. And for distortion, I mean, saturation is the simplest thing, but with distortions are very tricky as well, because you don't want aliasing, and distortions tend to introduce a lot of aliasing. So in the case of Flame, when I did these analog models, I was trying to at the same time of distorting the signal a lot, not to generate a lot of aliasing or try to suppress it. So it's a big problem in the filters. When you have high resonance, they tend to add distortion, and also Flame, they add distortion, and then you have aliasing, and I don't want to introduce aliasing, and that's what makes it very challenging.
He's asking, what was the name of your beginner's filter suggestion again?
State variable. So the discrete state variable filter. You can type it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What do you think about polyphony in 1.0? Now that I thought about Noxious and the Noxious polyphonic version.
Yeah, that's right. So one thing that I was talking with Alejandro and David, how I will handle polyphony, and I think that what I'm gonna do is that some of the modules of the basic modules, Slab, Spank, and I need to make the complete list, are gonna have just polyphony because it's easy to add. But some of the free modules are not gonna have polyphony in the free version. For example, Lateralus and Tangents in the free version is gonna be monophonic, but the one that comes in the premium package is gonna be polyphonic.
Yeah, so you have another way to
to balance out.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I really need to convince you to support me by buying the.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's something that can work. If you can have the filters in a monophonic version, and you really want the polyphonic.
I wonder how it will work, because I mean, most of the modules, I guess, will stay monophonic in VCV Rack. There will have to be special polyphonic versions of the modules. I'm sure that Andrew or VCV, let's say, will have a few of them.
Yes.
But you will have to make them specially polyphonic. I mean,
yes.
Otherwise,
we need to turn them into polyphonic.
Cyborg is asking if you can make a tutorial about hyperpower.
Yeah, it's super complicated. I haven't managed to get all the features yet.
It's more complicated than a NISG module.
Yes.
Okay, guys, if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. We will soon wrap this up.
Yes.
If you have something you want to ask. So what are you the most excited about? I asked it in the beginning. I will ask it again. The most excited about VCV 1.0?
I mean, one is the multi-threading. I mean, I don't know if I'm excited or not, because right now my computer really is in stress. Even when using only like 2 processors, when I allow it to use the whole CPU, this thing is gonna burn.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna allow me to at least maybe make the recording videos a little bit larger. Because if you have seen all my videos, I try to use very few modules. I cannot do what you do. It's like, okay, I'm gonna add just like a clock and this thing and a filter, and that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah. That's what I can record. Probably I'm gonna be able of making slightly larger patches. But one thing that I like a lot is the possibility, the new module browser, where you can see the modules.
Will the right-click menu still be available? I mean, the right-click menu, the right-click for selecting the modules, or there will be just this visual?
Oh, I think the way you trigger it is with right-click.
Oh, okay.
But then it's the same, but you just get the view.
Oh, okay.
With the module.
Now I understand. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna be able of like checking some of the modules, and just by looking at the interface.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna try more of other modules.
Yeah.
That I haven't seen, because I mean, we are. It's very hard. I can barely remember all the names of my modules, so it's almost impossible to remember.
And visually, it's easier. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Let's see. NISG is awesome. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so I think we will wrap this up. I don't know. You have anything more to ask, Leonardo? Can you write in English? What's this? Do you have a basic reps on the VCV? Help us write. It's Patman about the NISG manual. Yeah. Okay, guys. I think that was it.
I'm super slow for writing in English. In fact, because I have dyslexia, I tend to add a lot of typos, and that, yeah, it's a big effort for me to write.
I think writing manuals is anyway a tricky thing to do.
Yeah, I think that the only time that I have written manuals for my modules is when I'm stuck in an airport and I don't have anything else to do.
There's an interesting question here from Pierre Collard, the half of the developers of the Geodesics collection, the designer at least. How hard it is to port modules from VCV to Cherry Audio?
I mean, it depends on what you consider hard. As I mentioned before, most of my code is in the Vult language, so I can just generate the DSP code in Java. That's like a big plus, and I just have to make the GUI and connect it. But the hardest part for me is that I never used Java, so I had to like make a little bit of research on how to generate like efficient code and do a lot of testing in order to make it efficient or not write dumb code. stuff like that. That was the hard part, since I haven't used the language. But if you have like a big code base for the modules and you want to translate it, it's just gonna take time. But hard, I don't know. It's
okay.
So everything is hard before doing it. Everything is easy once you have done it.
That's true. Okay, I think that's it. Guys, thank you for joining us. Leonardo, thank you so much. It was nice meeting you. It was nice chatting with you. It was nice having a beer with you.
No, it's really nice. Like, I mean, I tend to talk a lot, so this is like good for me, like a good platform. So I'll be back. I'll be back when next time you tell me.
Yeah, sure, gladly. It was fun. I just have to buy some more Guinness and we are on.
Yes.
Okay, thank you everyone. It was really nice. Thank you again, Leonardo, for everything, and not just the chat.
Well, thank you guys
for your work. Let me just show you again before we go. I want to show you again. I hope it's this window. So the Vult in Cherry Audio. There are the Vult Fury bundle and the Rage bundle. And there is, of course, also the new website from Vult where you can get the DIY kits for Vorg, and also the Ready module. And also you can sign up to stay in touch with Leonardo.
Yeah, and then you're gonna get if you subscribe to the website, you're gonna be in the first people to know when Freak is available. And actually, I'm thinking on if you have signed to that list on launch day, I should make like a discount or something. So if you're interested in getting hardware.
Nice, very nice. So you can stay updated. And that's it. Have a good one, everyone. And you also, Leonardo.
Thank you.
Have a nice week.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just the beginning of the week.
It's just Monday today.
Yes.
That's cool, huh? I love Mondays.
No, and it's great that the people connected on a Monday afternoon, and especially on April's Fools. Like,
yeah,
guys,
maybe it was a joke.
No one is here. April's Fools.
I think they had enough with my Spanish today.
In Spanish.
Yeah. They had enough with the Spanish. No, really, people unsubscribed from my channel because of this, I think.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually in my channel. I was checking the numbers, and I have like subscribers up and down, and so, but at some point I had like a big down.
You never know why. That's the magic of YouTube.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have
also.
a nice week.
Have
and
a
of
nice
course,
week.
Enjoy the coming weekend.
Have a nice spring also. Have a good one, guys. Thank you. Ciao. Ciao, bambinos. Ciao.